Hello and welcome. We are streaming live from Intercultural Museum. This is Oslo Afro Arts Festival, presenting a book launch by Mr. Simon Chilembo. My name is 𝗕𝗺𝗀𝗲. Mr. Chilembo here has a very interesting journey of life. He is born in South Africa, schooled in Lesotho, spent his teens in Zambia, and since 1988, he has made Norway his home. We are very honored to have him here, Mr. Chilembo, presenting his book, 𝗏𝗏𝗏, about immigration. Simon, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you very much. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here. On the screen here, we're seeing my company logo, Chilembo, and Chilembo Media Storytelling Books. And the book today is 𝗏𝗏𝗏 and 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Immigrant. And I'd like to once again express gratitude for being given this platform here. I'm new in the business, so this is the first launch, the public launch I do. So I'm very excited about this. And yes, it's as mentioned, I was born in South Africa in 1960. I'm 61 years old, and I lived in Lusaka between 1975 and 88. And I started to write publishing my first book in November 2015. My main theme so far is migration. I'm very fascinated by that, by curiosity. Is what does migration do to us all? And the genre is autofiction, fantasy memoir, and essays and poetry. And the first book that I wrote is When the Mighty Fall. It originally was meant to be what became number 2, 𝗏𝗏𝗏. And it describes the first 25 years of my life in Oslo, in Norway. The adventures, the rise and falls, the success, and all that, and the decline and rise again. And as the subtitle says, Rise Again, Mind Games, and then that's the main one. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Immigrant, it came out 2016. I've been very prolific, followed by 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Awakening. This was when I was in South Africa, between 2013 and 2018. It's a diary of my experiences of going back to the land of my birth, which I left in 1975. I lived abroad, a total of 38 and a half years actually. So it was like a rude awakening, to realize how much the land of my birth, South Africa, 𝗓𝗏𝗏 for sure, had changed, and myself. And then followed by 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Son, Ain't Going Nowhere. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 means an emigrant, those who leave their home countries for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. From the perspective of your home, when you live, you are 𝗏𝗏𝗏. And whereas 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Immigrant talks about the first generation, it's inspired by my father's life. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Son is inspired by 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Immigrant is inspired by my father's life and people like him anywhere in the world. Just that they're the first generation immigrants wherever they are. And then they settle, and then they have they settle down, get married, have children. And now 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Son is about the second and third generation, from the 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Immigrant. And then 𝗏𝗏𝗏 Blogs is more essays, generally, that I've written over the years on my blog about reactions and responses and general commentaries, social, etc., whether it's economy or day-to-day living. And the important thing about 𝗏𝗏𝗏 is that everything that I write about is heavily influenced by my being in Norway, first generation 𝗏𝗏𝗏, but also being son of a 𝗏𝗏𝗏, my father who migrated from Zambia into South Africa. So my view of reality is heavily impacted by that. And then there is a Machona mother. It's then inspired by my mother's life and also women like her, married to immigrant men. Again, as a global phenomena, but I had to start somewhere. My mother, much as Machona immigrant, my father. And the seventh book, COVID-19, again, here we see now, reaction to a real big issue, in the world, So that's my reaction to my comment about that, killing conspiracy theories. And book number 8 is coming soon, Machona Poetry. This is a volume of poems, some of the poems that I've written since I came to Norway in 1988, covering all aspects, of my life experiences here. There's a lot of, I didn't realize it myself until I got it from my mentor and others who've seen the manuscript, the rage, the anger, the bitterness. And so, main title is Machona Poetry, and then Rage and Slam in Tigersburg, the Tigestaden or Tiger City. And when I often talk about how I came to Norway by accident and eventually stayed in Norway by accident. When I say that, it's not an expression of regret, anger, or bitterness, or anything. You might say it's actually an expression of gratitude. Yeah. Although there's a very big emotions here, but then you can also link it up, with the very first book, When the Mighty Fall, And then it's coming soon there. And then the theme of the presentation today is, migration and the makings of me, and what has migration to Norway done to you and yours? Will you stay or will you go?
Yeah, I think that's a very impressive outlook in terms of what you've written.
Thank you.
So Machona is your second book, correct?
Yeah.
This other day here, someone mentioned, we had a freelance forecast about South Africans, how colorful they use their language, that they always sound poetic. Now, going on into Machona, I would like you to just give to our audience here an understanding behind Machona, how the word actually became about. Because if you know, Machona is not really coming from any one of the 11 languages, but it came about also as a migration of people itself. So can you give us a little bit on that, on the word Machona?
In Spanish, Latin America, Machona refers to a tomboy. But in Zambia, Machona means actually, one who disappears for a long time, abroad, might not come back. So many people, Zambian people, Malawian, I can relate more to Zambia and Malawi, they are called Machona. Those who do eventually come back home, they are referred to as Machona, and it's used derogatively. Why? That's because, without exception, to the best of my knowledge, those that I've seen, that's because when they go back, they are old, they are tired. Remember, my father went to South Africa when he was 16 years old, thereabout just after World War II. When he comes back, many years later, 30 years later or something, he's married, he's tired, he's and he's not wealthy, he's poor, he's a burden, So Mr. Chilembo and Machona. So we are known, we go with that tag, of Machona children, Machona wife, etc., etc. So that's made a very strong impression in my view of the world. Yes. The thing is that unlike us in Norway, when we come here, we have access. Let me say, why does this thing, engage me so much? Is that, it's about knowing oneself. It's about, identity. Who am I? Why is it important? Because, I believe that what you know about yourself, or maybe you don't even know, is very important in influencing, what kind of choices we make in life. And also what, access we have to what opportunities on the basis of who we are or how we are perceived, by the outside world. Yeah.
That's a very interesting and very good analogy about Machona. Now, you also mentioned about the choices we make in life.
Yeah.
And in your life, as you said before, when you came to know it was by accident, and then you stayed by accident. Although these accidents, they propel you to making more choices. So that would be interesting to know if you can lead us further in your presentation about your book regarding the choices by accident that you've been making since.
Yeah. By accident, because, I came to know, the first opportunity I got, of a scholarship, again on the basis of who I was. If I had waited a little longer, I would have gotten the scholarships that have taken me to what would have been my eventual destination, America, USA, that kind of place. But because I was a Machona son, my access to those was very limited, so I had to use my own initiative. And my own initiative led to a scholarship possibility that brought me to Norway. And my idea, my ambition was, after I'd done these 3.5 years of MBA, and all that, I would go to the United States of America, I was just in transit here. And then I fall in love after I got here. Get stuck.
And that's what happens with the Machona. You migrate and you fall in love either with the land or with the person or something.
Actually, it was first with the land. Because the land, Oslo, it gave me, within just 2 weeks of my arrival in Norway, I started to train karate, my passion, at the University of Oslo. Again, within just, I came in August, September, October. I opened my first karate club in Oslo. The following year in March, I opened my second karate club, in Norway, in Nesodden, Then, this is wow, for me, those who know me, that I'm very fond of children. And I connect very easily with children anywhere I go, So, and then suddenly I had worked with children in Zambia, as a karate master, but it wasn't 50 children, it wasn't 100 children, it wasn't 150 children, But Oslo and Nelson give me that, wow, this was like, paradise. And within a very short time, I had forgotten, about America and MBAs and all that, And then when love, the romantic love comes in, wow, it was sealed. And then, lots of, aspects of my life adventure open. And then as we go to the book, question is, will I stay? Will I go? I stay.
Yes.
Yeah. Like the title of the book say, ain't going nowhere,
So do you find yourself, like every morning that you make the decision, I stay, or it's it just goes automatically? When you wake up, you know where you are already, or do you always have to remind yourself, I'm staying?
The conclusion, so to say, came on its own. And, and again, it's sealed. It's that's it, I'm staying. I ain't going nowhere. And, you shelve it and lock it in a bank vault, and all that. However, the fun of it is that every day something happens, without exception. Every day there's something happens to enhance, to remind me, that look, man, I'm here to stay, I'm having the time of my life here, in the introduction of the newest book coming soon, I talk about how Norway, through Oslo, unpacked it all for me. both the good and the bad. You know, I've been really down, you know, emotionally, you know, mentally, you know, depression and all that. You know, I've been down. I've had no money, you know, and but also I've been, you know, I've been up, you know, and you know, I come back after 5 years staying in South Africa, you know, and you know, I'm having the time of my life, you know, renewing myself, you know, on this platform. That is, you know, you can't compare, you know, this platform that we have to the migrant laborers, you know, of my father's generation who went to South Africa. Not in the least, you know, the other foreigners, you know, came to Norway, you know, in the 60s and the 70s. We can't compare with what we have now, you know. So, you know, I'm living the best years of my life here. And I'm only getting started.
So as Machona's son of a migrant labor, what type of migrant do you see yourself as? Are you a love migrant? Are you...
that's interesting because that's interesting because I've argued somewhere else, you know, that you know when you are an immigrant, you're an immigrant, you know, okay, and your hosts or people who see you where you are, they don't see that tag. If you have a tag on your forehead, you know, I'm a love migrant, you know, I'm a economic migrant, I'm a, you know, political, you know. Political asylum, you know what I mean, all those, no. As for me, you know, indeed, you know, I came as a student and I got stuck, you know, with love and doing my passion in the martial arts, you know, with the children and all that. But, you know, I see myself as just being here, having come and being here. And out of my deeds, you know, things that I do, you and everyone else can judge for themselves, you know, on what kind of immigrant, what kind of, or back home when they see me, the things that I do, thanks to social media, you know, things that I do, you know, what do they say, you know, is our brother, our cousin, our son, you know, so migrant, you know, immigrant, you know, it's up to you. As for me, I just feel, you know, that, you know, I'm here and at the right time, you know, I'm in the right place at the right time. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes. It's been a long journey, you know, of personal growth and self-renewal, you know, that led me to becoming a jack of all trades, you know, led me to understanding myself.
Yeah. You are also a therapist.
Yes.
A therapist and also motivational speaker, I think.
Yes, and this is why, you know, this is why I say, you know, that, you know, you become a jack of all trades. And because the thing about migration is that I was told this by one of my earliest karate teachers, you know, Mr. Noble from Scotland, you know, migrated to Zambia also after World War II. He was newly graduated from university, you know, he didn't know anything about the world. But, you know, many years later, I met him, you know, in the 70s, became my karate teacher. And he says, they used to call me Sami in Zambia in those days. And he says, you know, when you grow up and you begin to travel the world, you know, you'll find that travel the world, maybe even settle, you know, abroad, you'll find that, you know, the world doesn't really care, you know, about what you think about yourself, you know, or who you are, you know. Are you a son of a chief? Are you a doctor? They don't really care, you know. they see you for what they see of value, if any, you can add to them, and initially, and they define that for yourself. So if you come from wherever as a medical doctor and there's a shortage of toilet cleaners here, just immigrate, you know, the only thing, the first job offer consideration is that you're going to wash toilets, man. But I'm a doctor, they don't care. You know, and so then this is what leads, this becomes very important now. What do I do? Yeah. Am I going to seek on to the, you know, the idea that, you know, I'm a karate, you know, it's a bit too strong. I use this expression for showbiz. It's not really important for me, you know. When I came to Norway, I came from, you know, a condition of superstardom in Zambia, you know. Yeah. I was, mashallah, I was known like I was a karate master. I worked for the central bank, university graduate, Mr. Chilembo and all that, assistant, the national team coach, I was somebody on TV, on radio, this is like, this I know from before, that it's not new for me, But then when you come here, they don't care about that, man, And this was I say, then you go down. So, but then you've got to rise again somehow, and inspired by my father and people like him. Then this is what happens. You've got to be flexible. You've got to embrace the fact that you've been crushed. And you learn to what Norwegians say. They say 𝗧𝗥𝗨𝗧𝗛𝗨, swallow camels. Swallow your pride and all that. And this is what leads us, to becoming jack of all trades. Those of us who are flexible, those who are able to adapt to the new environment. And then leads to, for me, eventually. I found my calling out of this. And my calling is for 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 in Norwegian, for 𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪𝗪 you know. There's that, you know, I'm a bit of a snob, you know. So for fat, I love it, you know.
So this is also your migration. It's not just the physical migration from country to country, but it's a migration of yourself, in a way.
It's a migration of, this is very important. It's a migration. 𝗏𝗏 also is about being a traveler, you know. It's about being a seeker, you know. And speaking for myself, you know, I'm a very passionate person, you know. And when I get into something I like, I give it all I get, you know. I have, you know. So for me, you know, it is a total shift, translocation, you know, of me. The physical, the spiritual, the philosophical, you know, you name it, academic, you know, it's the creative, it's the whole of me. The important, you know, element is that at the same time, I remain the proudest black man, proudest African man I know, and believe me, I know many proud African men.
Can we get an applause for that? That is beautiful.
You know, without that strong foundation, you know, of who I am, you know, I had to go through this journey to really appreciate, you know, the essence of me, you know, and that essence of me, I've argued before, is only, you know, what you can see, you know, what you can read, you know, what you can hear, but, you know, much like all of us, you know, what is inside of me, you know. What I dream, my dreams are my dreams, you know. When I meditate, when I pray, you know, it's my own world, it's your own, and everybody. But the foundation, you know, is that, you know, I know who I am as a black man, as an African. At the same time, I will fight for this country, for Norway, much as I will fight for Zambia, my fatherland. Much as fight, you know, I will fight for South Africa. And ultimately, much as I will fight for humanity in terms of human rights, you know, and that's why I'm very passionate, you know, about many aspects, you know, of human rights, you know, that across the world, you know, whether it's racism itself, you know, discrimination, you know, sexual orientation, etc., you know, the struggle for freedom, you know, anywhere in the world is my struggle. Ultimately, and that's, you know, this calling of mine is that now, until the very end, I just want to write books. That's it. You know, it's
and you're writing for books, so your intention is what? Is it to share of your inner self? Is it to teach? Is it to inspire?
All of it. Essentially, I'm a self-acclaimed pedagogue, you know. I love to teach. You know, when I teach, you know, when I talk, I love to hear the sound of my own voice in public, you know. And so, you know, I just love to teach. You know, like the song says, you know, I take the lead. I love that. You know, I I don't fight, I don't push, I don't aspire, it just happens. From my childhood, I've always been, in the forefront, explain things, defend, protect, I don't know if it's just with the fact that I'm, eldest in my family. But I love to teach, I love to guide, I love to inspire, much as I love to learn. Of course, it's I learn a lot from teaching, also. Whether it's in an academic setting, or whether it's in coaching, or whether it's training, or whatever. Or whether I'm receiving, this new knowledge, I just love it. Again, like I say, it's the whole of me. But, if I could sing, I would sing. If I could dance, I would dance, If I could drive Formula One, I would do that. But my calling, for me, it's writing. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. That's how the world is going to, to hear my voice, see at least, the outer me. And that's how I will share as much as possible the inner me. And again, this is another crucial point, is that I can keep a secret. You can? I can keep a secret. Official job, and all that, confidentiality and all that. But I don't know how to lie about myself, my reality. So if I'm happy, I'm happy. You'll see it. You'll hear it. If I'm sad, I'm sad. You'll see it. And if I'm poor, I'm poor. If I'm rich, I'm rich. If I'm sick, I don't know how to lie. About my origins. Who I am, where I come from. I don't know. So everything I write, comes from the heart. And again, both for the good and the bad, It's not, when you write, you win yourself a lot of fans. You'll also win yourself a lot of enemies.
Yes, tell us more.
Yeah, and the point is that, it's not always, that that you'll say the right things for everybody. You'll be misunderstood. You'll be misjudged, on that basis. But, that's what I do, and it's about taking me or leaving me. I can't do anything about that. If we can talk things over, let us, but, one of the worst things, for creative people, to experience is when rumors, are spread, about them, tarnishing their images, and all that. But it's just the way it is, Yeah. So I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah. Now that was very interesting there. If you don't mind, I would like to just read a little bit from your book here, and chapter 4. It's actually a little bit connected with what you were saying about Machona, people who go and they're not really expected to come back. But when they come back, that's when they're given that terminology, Machona. Yeah. So I will read here. It says, but Mokhwenyana, who is son-in-law, it looks like you have a higher God over you. Please tell us more about who you are and where you come from. How did you get here? Asked Malome Mail. And then he continued. We've heard the story of your miraculous survival of a deadly accident. What happened? Which university did you go to? We have heard that people in Africa travel a lot overseas. Have you been there? Did you hear that drunkard who said the Queen of England lives in America, London? Ignorant fools. So these are many questions I see, and they're not, it's like somebody who's very, very curious about someone's travels. But when you were writing this, what was it drawing you? Was it drawing you back to your own journey or your father's journey? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
It drew me to my father's journey. and how more or less the same, experiences, replicate themselves, with my own journey. And, it's said that, racism, and all that, is born out of ignorance. People are afraid of the unknown, with regard to this stranger, this foreigner, with a strange skin color, strange nose, hair, that people don't know, but people are scared, And then there's there's this mystique, about foreigners, And remember, today we have the social media. We can go on Facebook, everything, Google. The world is much smaller. We have it at our fingertips, in the palms of our hands. But 50, 60, 70 years ago, the world was totally different. So my father and people like him walked. From my father's village in eastern Zambia, northeastern Zambia, it's approximately 3,000 kilometers, They walked to Johannesburg, ultimately Cape Town, But you have people who came even further up, as southern Tanzania, walking through Malawi, they walked, And then they would live, in groups, My father's case, he says there were like 20 young men, in early mid-teens, When they came to South Africa, there's only 3 of them.
Yeah, you seem very emotional also.
Yes, it's emotional, People died, on the way, taken by rivers, wild animals, gangs, and all that, So when they finally arrived to South Africa, they are finished, Many, many months after, they would have left their villages, They have nothing, My father was a semi-literate, He went up to standard 2 because that's what colonialism, stipulated. You can't get more than grade 4, Many of them, never got that chance. My father could read and write, could count. He was very good with numbers, my father. And, but somehow, these people, manage, to navigate, their way through South Africa, get jobs, eventually, fall in love, must remember that, these people went to South Africa so they could work and send money back home to help their people elevate standards of living, much like many of us do here. It's I was not, I used my own initiative to come out here. I was not sent, I was not what, but I was just replicating, observations, of my father, that responsibility. My parents, but fortunately by the time I came to it, they were still all right, so there was no need to send money and things, that, they were not even pressing, But there was that inner sense of obligation, I have to help my parents, and when the time finally came, I was already strong, so I could do a lot of that. However, people like my father and the generation, when they never could fulfill that hope, that aspiration of helping, their own people. But this is South Africa, apartheid South Africa, grossly underpaid, They were never, I have yet to meet a person of my father's generation that's still alive, or even here, those who are dead, who managed to make it like big, in South Africa, get education, get a decent job, or none. They never get that chance, as compared to us. So that's very important, the sense of obligation, to help, to only to the best of my ability. If you can't, you can't, And when you get out here, you get your own obligation, you get your family and everything. You have to give priority to needs and demands here and now.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Would you like to tell our audience a little bit about how to get hold of your book? And yeah.
Yes, I am on Machona. Sorry. If I got it, there's supposed to be a link, you know. No, I'm not online. That's all. But you know, my books are available. I've got copies at the back there, and they're going for 200 kroners each. 𝗕𝗚𝗄𝗧𝗏 or 𝗟𝗶𝗴𝗿, you must pay tax. Very important. You know, moms, huh? Okay. I've learned the hard way, huh? So, and then available also on Amazon. And if you Google me now, you know, if you Google search Simon Chilembo author or the books, you know, many, you know, Amazon and many other, you know, distributors and suppliers all over the world,
yes.
in Norway here also. But if you buy through me, you know, then you know I get a higher cut, you know. So and you know my 𝗕𝗺𝗏 chef Simon Chilembo, you know, is going to start, you know, distribution in the country as time goes. Now, I'm new in the business, you know, so there's a lot of catching up to do. Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
And then that's my father there and his wife. What a beautiful chick. I mean, I would have gone for this chick if I were. And that's their last born, born 1974, just before we would leave South Africa. She was, what is it, cerebral palsy? Yes, yeah. She died 8 years old. And that's my younger brother. And that's my younger sister. That's my niece. And that's my mother's younger brother, my uncle. Still going strong. I think he's 76 years old. It's incredible. But this picture here, you are seeing, you know, a very, very close, you know, approximation, you know, of my father. You know, when my mother, each time she saw me, you know, dressed up, you know, cool like this, she would just put it, you don't just dress up like, you must stop this, you know. You remind me of my husband. So thank you very much. This is it, and may their soul rest in peace. Yeah. So my father's surviving children, it's this one, and
yeah, thank you so much for sharing pieces of yourself and for us meeting your family. So we look forward to meeting many more of your family and friends through this book.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So for everyone here who would like to have a little bit more chat with Simon, we can do it afterwards. Unfortunately, we will not have time to take questions at the moment. But we thank you very much for your time, for joining us here today. And from myself, on behalf of Oslo Afro Arts Festival, we wish you a further festival further on.
Thank you.